Three simple ways to start building fitness for Think Desert Race 2022. Hey guys, welcome back for another live stream. Today we're going to be talking about getting ready for Think for next year, and you've got quite a bit of time to be able to start getting ready. So I'll dig into the fitness side. So this video is going to be specifically on off the bike stuff, okay? Not how you should be preparing on the bike. We'll save that for another video, or you can go back to some older videos. Hey Luke. So one of the common things that I find for Think, especially for riders that are doing Think for the first time, is they underestimate the level of fitness that's actually required for the event, especially when you're having to back it up the second day. Sometimes you can get away with events where you can push really, really hard and flog the shit out of yourself for a day and not really worry about the consequences the next day. But for Think, when you're expected to come back and do the same thing again, hey Stu, then you need to make sure that you're ready. So I've never heard a rider do Think for the first time, hey Brett, and say to me, oh, it was easier than I expected. I felt like I went in over prepared and did too much work and too much training and spent too much time on the bike. I've never heard that from a single person. What I hear most of the time is I went in and did my first Think and I didn't think it was going to be as hard as what it was. I didn't do any prep, or I only did a little bit of training, a little bit of riding, and absolutely got my ass handed to me when I was racing. And got partway through the first day and thought, shit, how am I going to make it through the rest of this day, let alone get back tomorrow? So you either learn that on your first time, or you do the work before your first time and then go in and then realize how hard it is and then go, hey, I need to step things up even further than what I did before. So there's two, like when we're talking about the fitness component, there's a couple of things that you need to focus on. And I'll go through some common mistakes as well that I see. First thing is strength. Okay, I bang on about strength in all my videos. I've been banging on about strength since I started coaching in 2014, 2015, and I will be banging on about strength until 2025, 2030, until the day comes that I die. The reason I bang on about it so much is because it's so important for helping you with your bike, and it's a quick win. It's an easy win. Like, it's something that you can do that's so simple to do and so effective. Hey, Anthony. Hey, Michael. So effective that's going to get you such a big result on the bike, and a lot of riders miss it. And it doesn't make sense to me. Why wouldn't you do something that's going to give you such a big improvement with the time that you're investing into your training? And the reason that the strength stuff is so important is because the stronger you can get yourself, the lighter the bike is going to feel for you. Okay, so if you look at Think, right, depending on where you're running, on average, let's say it's about a 3-hour race there. Okay, 3 hours there, 3 hours back. You're going at high speeds, okay, well over 100 kilometers an hour for a long period of time, okay, and obviously depending on your ability, depends on how quickly you're going to be moving. You're going through high-speed sections, okay, through the desert, through rough whoop sections. Yes, it was a little bit smoother this year, but it's still quite rough, lots of whoops that you're going to be dealing with. So you've got a bike, which is 100 kilos, plus your body weight on top of that. Let's say you weigh 100 kilos, that's 200 kilos in total, flying through the desert at over 100 kilometers an hour through a whole heap of rough terrain. Now, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to work out that if the bike gets untidy, okay, or if things get out of line, which they will at some point, moving at those speeds through those types of conditions, that the thing that's going to save you and the thing that's going to help you to correct that bike is having a lot of strength in your back pocket to be able to pull that bike back in line. Okay, if you don't have the strength there, if you're fatigued or if you've lost your strength over the period of the race, you're going to find it very hard to make corrections on the bike. Okay, when the bike gets out of line, when the things get untidy, you're going to find it very hard to correct things and get things back in a straight line. And then that's when it's going to start to get unsafe. Okay, that's when it gets to the point where you're riding and you're just crossing your fingers hoping that you're not going to come. One of two things are going to happen is, number one, you just keep pushing and try and hold the same pace even though you know you shouldn't be, and it's only a matter of time before you have a big run and come off. Or the second thing is you slow down and you start riding at a trail pace, and instead of attacking the track, you go into survival mode. That's exactly right, Luke. Plus fuel and water in your gear as well. So you're looking at your body weight plus well over that. Plus if you've got an oversized fuel tank, you've got all the rest of the stuff that you put on there. Okay. There is no escaping the amount of strength work that you need to be doing for Think. So the stronger you can get yourself, the lighter the bike feels. The lighter we can get the bike to feel, the easier it's going to be for you to handle the bike and put the bike in the position that you need to. But also the other thing is we're not just looking about performance. Okay, we're not just looking about how can we improve our riding. We're looking at how can we reduce mistakes. Okay, because for a lot of you, the riding is not really the problem. Okay, you're actually quite good at the riding. The riding is not the thing that needs the main work. It's the consistency with that riding for 3 hours. So you might be able to hold a certain speed for an hour, okay, but you can't hold that speed for 3 hours. So if you can develop the strength and make the bike feel lighter, you can put it in the position that you need to when you're riding, which means you can be more consistent when you're riding, reduce the amount of mistakes that you make while you're riding as well. And that's going to make you faster. So it's not necessarily riding faster, it's just reducing the mistakes so you can be more consistent. Awesome, Brett. Sweet. So first attempt 235, second attempt 78. Awesome, man. That's a great improvement. So first thing is strength. How do you get stronger? Off the bike. You do some weight training, okay? You lift some heavy weights, but you just got to make sure, hey Dale, make sure that you're doing the right stuff. Make sure you're doing the right weight training movements, okay? You're not bodybuilders. You're not going, if you've got an arm day and a leg day and a back day and a core day and a calf day and a shoulder day and all the rest of it, you're training like a bodybuilder, okay? You need to be training like a strength athlete, okay? We're building strength. We're not worried about building size. And the way that you build strength is through using multi-joint barbell movements, using powerlifting movements, deadlifts, back squats, overhead presses, bent over rows, okay? Great movements that you can start with. And the reason these movements are so good is because we can load them up with a heap of weight, number one, because we're using a bar, which is great. The second thing that's really good is that they're multi-joint movements. They're using all of the muscle groups in your body, multiple joints at one time in those movements. So if you go to the gym and you just do a whole heap of bicep curls, your body never moves like that on the bike. There is never a point in time where you are on the bike and your biceps are just doing a whole shit ton of work and getting really, really fatigued and the rest of your body is completely relaxed. There is no point in time that that happens on the bike, unless you're flying through the air because you've just had a big one. So when you're training during the week and we're building strength, we need to get your whole body working together as one muscle, okay? So stop this, get out of this mindset of trying to train individual muscle groups and then just hoping that they're all going to work together on race day. That's not how the body works. We need to train all the muscles in your body as one muscle because that's how they're working on the bike. They're all working together as a system. So strength training, what I do with our guys is I get them training 3 times per week, okay, doing strength work. This is the basis of where you need to start with building strength, okay? Start with those, do 3 training sessions a week, pick 2 or 3 movements, be consistent with those and get cracking. Second thing that we need to work on is the cardio side. There's 2 elements to cardio, okay? There's not just one element. People just put cardio in one basket and they don't understand that there's 2 parts to it. When you're riding at Finke, there's 2 things we need to focus on. There's the length of the race, which is 3 hours, okay, or however long it's going to take you. So we need to make sure you have enough endurance in the tank, okay, and lung capacity to go for 3 hours. That's number 1. But number 2, when we break Finke up into smaller parts or smaller sections, there's parts of the track that are more physically demanding than other parts of the track. There's parts which are very rough where you're really fighting the bike, okay, and it takes a lot of effort. There's other parts where you can just sit down and hold it on and it's a bit of a rest. The intensity is going like this, up, down, up, down, up, down for 3 hours. Okay, it's not like you going for a cycle ride around the block for 3 hours where it's just pedal, 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 pedal. And that's where I see a lot of riders going wrong, is they think, oh, I've just got to go and race for 3 hours. So I'll just go and do a whole heap of cycling, a whole heap of running, a whole heap of swimming, a whole heap of rowing, go row for half an hour every night during the week, and then get to Finke and then still wonder why you're sore and unfit and you're struggling by the time you get to the first fuel stop. And the reason that happens is because you just haven't trained properly. So you need to train both energy systems, aerobic and anaerobic. And the way that you do that, so let's say, again, we're talking off the bike stuff here. Okay, the way that you do that, number 1, you need to have a component to your training which is longer distance stuff. Okay, it could be 20 minutes or half hour endurance pieces that you do. It could be on the rower, on the exercise bike, on a cycle bike, on an assault bike, could be running, could be swimming, whatever you prefer to do. Something that's longer distance, steady state cardio. That's going to build one energy system, our aerobic energy system. The other system we've got to work is our anaerobic energy system, which is our short, sharp burst of high intensity system. Okay, this is the system we want to prepare for when you've got a really tough set of whoops coming up that you're doing it over 100 kilometers an hour and you know your body's going to have to give it absolutely everything. And the way we do that is through interval training. So how do you train this? You get on the rowing machine, okay, and you could do, say, a minute on, a minute off for, let's say, start off with 10 minutes, okay? A minute on, a minute off, so it's 5 rounds. And your goal in that minute, hey Stu, is to give it 100%, okay? It's to be able to give it absolutely everything you've got for a minute, and then rest, and then go again. And what you'll find, if you use a heart rate monitor, what you'll find is that your heart rate drops lower a lot quicker during those rest periods, the fitter that you get. When you're unfit, your heart rate just stays jacked the whole time. Okay, the fitter you get with intervals, what you'll find is that your heart rate will jack up quite high during the interval. And then when you have that rest, your heart rate will drop lower or drop down to a resting heart rate or a lower heart rate much, much quicker. And that's a way that you can tell that you're actually recovering quicker. When you first start doing intervals, you're probably going to find your heart rate doesn't drop much at all. It's just going to stay like this even through the rest periods. So that's how you train the strength. That's how you train the cardio. If there's any questions, guys, post them up below in the comments and I'll answer them for you in a second. Common mistakes that I see. Riders do too much endurance work for Finke. Okay, everyone just looks at it and goes, oh, it's a 3-hour event, so I've got to train for 3 hours. I've got to ride for 3 hours. Everything needs to be about 3 hours. That's not how it works. Okay, that's the reason you can go and do a whole heap of training during the week and then still get to a race meet and then feel fucked. And the reason that you feel fucked is because you're not training the intensity. You're just training the endurance. Okay, if you want to do Finke as a trail ride, okay, then fine. You're going to be okay doing the longer distance endurance stuff. As soon as you're treating Finke as a race, the intensity is going to be jacked up higher than any type of practice riding that you've done. So we need to make sure that we're using that and we're practicing that during the week. So you can do that with your training, with your cardio work, like I just talked about through intervals, or you can also use sprint work as well with your training on the weekend when you're on the bike. Excuse me, I've been a bit sick, so I'm a bit blocked up. The second common mistake I see is no strength work. Okay, everyone has in their mind as riders and racers that you're just going to get too big and too muscly if you start doing strength work, and that is not the case. Okay, weight training, riders put weight training in just one category. Okay, and they just go, oh, anything that's weights is going to get you big and get you strong. That's not true. Okay, the thing that is true is the type of weight training that you do will decide whether you get stronger or decide whether you get bigger. You don't have to have both. Okay, go and watch powerlifting competitions, go and watch Olympic lifting competitions if you don't believe me. Have a look at the size of some of the people there and the weights that they're lifting. Because they're strength sports. They're based on strength. They're not based on size. If you go and look at bodybuilding, then yes, you are going to see people which are very big and very bulky and not particularly strong in comparison to the other like powerlifters and Olympic lifters. Okay, if you're interested and you don't believe me, go and Google those sports and have a look for yourself. So you need to make sure you're doing the right strength work. And the way that you do the right strength work is by, again, using multi-joint movements. It's training all the muscles in your body as one muscle, not trying to isolate out different separate pieces of your body, because that's not how the body works when you're out on the bike. We want to do things during the week that are similar, okay, or that reflect or that have some level of transfer over to what we're doing on the ride when we're riding. Doing a whole heap of bicep curls and tricep extensions, not going to be the most effective, okay, for transferring over to the bike. Third thing that we need to do, or third common mistake that I see, underprepared versus overprepared, okay? So what starts to happen here, let me just get this Facebook, I'm not sure if the comments are coming through, so I'm just going to get my Facebook feed up here and make sure that everything's working a-okay. Third thing that I see though that comes up, okay, is people are underprepared going into these events. I never hear from people, and maybe that's why they're speaking to me in the first place, but I never hear people going into Finke saying, oh, I did too much work. You know what? I did too much training. I got too much bike time before I went into Finke and I was over-prepared. I should have cut that in half and done a lot less, and then I would have felt a lot better when I got to race day. I never hear that from anyone, okay? Never. And that's because it's such a grueling event, okay? It's such a physically demanding event. It is tough. It is hard. So whatever you think you need to do in terms of preparation, double or triple, okay, what you think you need to be done. And I don't mean double or triple in terms of just doing more training. I mean in terms of the effort with the effort that you put into the strategy for riding, okay? So if you're just going, oh yeah, I'll just do a bit of cycling every week, then maybe just instead of just going, oh, I'll just do a little bit of cycling every week, maybe put a little bit more thought into the training you're doing and why you are training and why you are doing the things that you are doing, okay? So when I say do more, okay, or put 2 or 3 times more effort into what you're doing, I don't mean just do a whole shit ton more training, okay? That's not what I mean. What I mean is that you need to put more thought into what you're doing. Use the right strategy, do the right stuff. Because that's another common, which I haven't got written down, but that's another common thing that I see is riders will do a lot of training and put a lot of effort in and still not be ready. And I'm like, how can you still not be ready, right? How can you still not be ready if you've been doing a shit ton of training and a shit ton of work? And it's even frustrating for them because you spend all that time, effort, money, and energy getting out there and thinking you're ready and going in confident, and then getting to the first fuel stop and going, oh shit, I'm actually not ready. Okay? And you're not even halfway through the race. And the reason that happens is because riders don't put enough thought into their strategy. Okay, they go by what their mates told them, or something that they've picked up from a magazine, or something in their mind that seems like the right thing, and then they get there and they're disappointed. And that's because they didn't put enough time up front into the strategy. So yes, you need to be putting work into your training, but you need to make sure you're doing the right stuff. Because you're just going to waste a whole heap of time. You're going to put all this work, all this effort, all this energy, especially if you're starting to train now. Like the guys that start training with me now for Think next year, I really, really enjoy working with, because these are the guys that want to give it a really, really, really good crack. Okay. I've got guys that have done multiple Thinks with me that have just trained all the way through and kept training, right? And I really, really enjoy working with those guys because they're the guys that get a really, really good run. They put a lot of effort into their training, and they also have the right strategy, okay, in place. The guys that tend to come to me last minute are the guys that are looking for like the quick fix because they've fucked around and they're getting scared and they're getting worried as they're getting into the event. And then they go to the event and realize how hard it is, and then they start training straight after the event to start getting ready for the next one because they've realized how tough it is. Sorry, I got on a bit of a tangent there. But the main thing is that you need to be, I can't put enough emphasis on preparation, right? It's consistency with the training. You have to be consistent with the training, but you also have to make sure that you're doing the right stuff. Because if you're not doing the right things, okay, if you're putting in all the effort and you're not doing the right stuff, then you're just not going to see the results and the improvement. Okay, and ultimately that's what you're doing the work for. Okay, you're not trying to be the fittest person in the gym. You're not trying to do as much cycling as you can so you can go and do the Tour de France. You're doing the work because you want to get ready for riding and racing, and you want to be able to perform, and you want to be able to do well. That's ultimately what you're doing for. So if you would like some help with this stuff, okay, if you want to start getting ready for next year, you're willing to put in the work, you're willing to start doing the training, and you want to make sure you're not wasting your time doing shit that doesn't help you, then I'll put the link below in the comments for applications to work with me. It'll ask you a few quick questions about what you're working towards. Is it your first Think? Have you done Think before? And there's a specific outcome that you're after, and then also what you're having a challenge with, to see if I can help. You might be on the right path and you just need a couple of tweaks, or maybe you need a complete overhaul of your training and you're going in the complete wrong direction. Either way, I will let you know. So that link's in the comments for you below if you are interested. Otherwise, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And if you're doing Think, start getting started. See you guys.